O ovoj temi, podjeli na lijevo i desno u Europi u današnje vrijeme, razgovarao sam s Fernandom Casalom Bertoom, politologom s Britanskog sveučilišta u Nottinghamu, tijekom njegova nedavnog boravka u Zagrebu. Welcome to our program, Mr. Casal Berto.
Thank you very much.
Tell us, because it's popular thinking over here in Croatia, that there is no more traditional mainstream left and right parties in Europe. What do you think? Is it because maybe there are new issues, new problems that these parties should deal with? Maybe it's not the same as it was 50 or 100 years ago, when these terms were more established.
Well, I mean, the main issue we have now to face is the economic crisis. I think that, the economic crisis has changed a bit, how can I say, the meaning of, left and right, in the sense that since the 90s, as I said before in my answer to the first question, there was this idea that, well, I mean, market economy is the only solution. There was a consensus of that, so the leftist parties have to, we can say, create new issues. This is when, we can talk about a change in the meaning of left and right. Now, obviously, I mean, we have this problem, the problem of the economic crisis, and as you said in your question, the truth is that, for example, because of the globalization and the Europeanization, and the meaning of the European Union and the lack of certain competence, for example, in fiscal policy, etc., the traditional parties do not have the means that used to have, previous to this economic crisis and to this process of globalization and Europeanization. And in this sense, all these new parties that are being formed try to somehow answer to these new problems that the traditional parties have not been able to answer till now.
Is it the same throughout all of Europe, or would you say there are some differences and specifics regarding traditional West, East, North, South, regarding this question of left and right?
Well, the truth is that, obviously, I mean, there have been always differences between North and South. This is something that, I think, is very clear, and they still maintain, the importance, for example, of the welfare state. We can say the importance or the consensual policy of the welfare state, in the sense that, Nordic countries, either left and right, were all keen in maintaining the welfare state. We could say that, while in the West, the traditional right is identified with, we can say, liberal economical liberalism, and conservative values, and the left is more for, it was usually and traditionally considered to be partisan for the control of government of the economy, and it was more liberal, in terms of values. I think that, in Eastern Europe is the other way around, in the sense that it's true that, it's not always the same. Think about the Czech Republic, where it's more, we can say the Czech Republic would be more in Western style, left and right. But countries like Poland or Hungary, we have rightist parties that are very, we can say, socialist or economically talking, but are still very conservative, And we are talking about main parties. Obviously, we can talk, for example, about the British National Party, that is, a nationalist party, but is also very left-leaning, in terms of, but these parties are the margins. While in Eastern Europe, we have these very important, right parties that, still, we can say, turn the axis that we used to find in Western Europe.
You mentioned already new parties that emerged in the last decades. Once we spoke about the so-called third way. What are the issues that these new parties are focused on? Is there some new issues, or the traditional ones that are also in sight of other parties that already exist, left, right, center, and so on?
All these new parties have to find a new niche in the political spectrum. And, these new parties, they were looking at gender equality, sexual, equal rights, environmental policies. This already started in the 60s. In fact, we can say the distinction between the green left and the socialist left, already disappeared, in the sense that, all these parties, even the right, took environment as an important. But still, this is important about, political, a more liberal, libertarian culture, other issues like, anti-Americanism, because it's anti-globalization. So, I mean, I think that, everything obviously is interconnected, but the fact that economy, at least till 2008, became not so much an issue, because it was part of the consensual center, even between the traditional right and the traditional left, made that these new parties focuses more on these, value-oriented issues.
all of this is, as we said at the beginning, is about mainstream, traditional left and right, we can say socialist, social democrats, and then centrist right, Demo-Christian parties and so on. What does all of this mean for extreme left and extreme right? Does they change as well because of this?
Because of everything that we have been talking to now, the the leftist parties and the rightist parties somehow converged to the center. So they left, and some we can say space at the political at the fringes of the political spectrum, allowing these parties to take. It's like in a way, every single party that was appearing, was taking, we can say, values or issues, from the traditional parties that were more converging to the center. It's like a tide in the sea that, the tide is coming and is taking part of the beach, and so the parties were moving and converging in a way. This allowed, these new parties on the different fringes and, at the streams of the political spectrum. And as I said, because they focus on issues like, for example, anti-immigration, anti-globalization, in a way, they resemble, that's in certain aspect, traditional values themselves, and because, for example, in case of anti-immigration, some of these parties, they are anti-Muslim, and even what do? They take over or they resurrect, issues like what we were talking about, the importance of, the rights of the gays or other type of left-leaning, values.
Thank you, Mr. Casalberto.